got the
interview.
lights, you got the microphone, you got everything going on.
Oh yeah,
I
you know
know.
Terry do this. You know
But
Terry is a professional.
the
Okay.
thing is though, do y'all ever keep the video? Have y'all been putting it
Yes.
on YouTube? Okay.
I try to. Usually I do. Um,
That's you need to outsource it, Charles.
I do. Honestly, you know what's funny is I have Donald the voice. I gave him my password to Zoom, so he just goes in there, gets what he needs to get,
Oh,
and
that's
just sends me the
perfect.
finalized link. I need to give him my anchor so I can have that automated too.
Yeah, we
Correct.
need to
Doing work is hard. I don't like doing work. I like thinking.
but not the work part. Nah, I feel you on that. You
Get
know what? Y'all
get paid to
know,
think, not work.
yes. Y'all know we got to talk about this post that y'all put out today. I want to talk about it on
Oh,
the podcast.
I wanted to delete it because I was like, because sometimes I post stuff and I'm like, I don't want somebody to see this. Like, I want everybody else to see this, but not that person. So I felt bad. Actually, I thought I was
I
gonna get
didn't
called out
see
on
it.
it too.
You
I
should
thought
I
feel
they,
didn't see
bad.
it.
No, I'm
I
just
thought they're
kidding.
gonna
Is
be
it on
like,
your
I
what
thought they're
post?
gonna be
Wait, let
like,
me see.
Charles, you got a course in your link tree, blah blah blah.
Oh, that court. Oh, that. Yeah, I saw that.
So I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't
Uh-huh.
about. It had nothing to do with you. I forgot who it had to do with. Honestly, I don't think. I'm not even gonna go there. But welcome
Hmm.
back. This is like the third time that we've done this.
Well, this is
But
my
so
first
much is
time interviewing Terry, so I'm so
right.
excited.
But so much has
Yeah.
changed. Like it before it was just trading, and then I think we were talking about. I think mostly just trading all the time. But now you're like a business person. You're like a multiple homeowner, investor, and then I've also just learned more about you as a person just by watching you do different things. So
Oh,
um,
cool.
we should have a lot to talk about tonight outside of just trading. So let me get to
I'm
my
excited.
little script.
And
And
congrats to you too. Congrats on your millions. That's
just
awesome.
it's funny because I think we all kind of inspire. We show each other what's possible, and so I forgot who I was talking to, but I think when somebody told me, I was like, she made $1 million off her course. I was like, you can make $1 million off of courses? Like that's crazy. And like I
Yep.
wasn't even really trying to, honestly. I was just out there putting it out there, and it caught fire, and people were like having success with it, and I was just flipping it. So it worked out. But
That's good. That's
I got a long
good.
way to go to catch up to Teri Ijeoma.
Now you can go for your 8 figures.
Right, right.
I know
That's
that's
actually the
right.
goal. Yeah,
I'm next. I'm next.
for
Let's
A
go,
sure.
million on the
Rashauna.
course. The course. My course is dropping January 2021.
All
January
right, let's
2021.
go. That's awesome.
Make a million 4 months off of your course.
Hey,
Is
hey,
that
hey,
how long it
hey.
takes? It's 4 months.
I don't
Hold on,
know.
my series acting up. Cool, let's get it. It's gonna be let me make sure yeah, it's probably just gonna be like organic.
Cool.
But this is the Oglesby and Scott show. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Top Millionaire with Miss Rashauna Scott of Flipping in Hills. This podcast is the purpose of the podcast is to share the stories of successful African American business owners and investors. And our guest today is both. She's a successful investor and a successful business owner. So that's pretty cool. I don't think we've ever had that before, like a combination of both. Although investing is business in a lot of ways. But make sure you leave us a rating, a review, preferably a 5-star review. If you guys do not know who we have today as a guest, she goes by none other than Teri Ijeoma. I'm an
Hello.
investor on Instagram. She has blown up and as she's blown up, she's been doing like really cool stuff. She's been showing more of her life on social media, on YouTube. I've seen a lot of different things she's been doing. So truly inspirational figure. She made, I want to say, over multiple millions of dollars online. And she's also a successful trader who was able to trade stocks while traveling. Although I'm not sure how the traveling thing is going now during COVID, but the skill
Me.
still remains the same. So with that, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Charles and Rashauna. I'm so glad to be here. It's good to see your faces. I haven't seen y'all in a while.
No, we went from like seeing each other every other month in a different city to literally like just only social media now. So I'm so
Right.
glad you're here. I'm so excited to interview you. You are a wealth of information. So yeah, so let's dive right in. Since you have been here before, we won't dive too much into your background because those can go back, they can go back and watch the previous episodes. But for those who don't know you and this is their first time hearing you, just introduce yourself.
Sure. So I did 10 years in education. My last job was as assistant principal of an elementary school, but I needed an exit strategy because the kids and my bosses were getting on my nerves. So my exit strategy was trading stocks. I needed to just make $300 a day in order to replace my income. So I started taking classes, working at it, and it began to happen. I started making $300 a day, was able to quit my job and start traveling all over the world. And while I was gone, Thailand, Tokyo, Australia, Israel, people started asking me to teach them how to trade. So now that's what I do. I trade full time and I teach others in a course called Trade and Travel. And I love it. It's really awesome.
The interesting thing about that is you replaced your job with passive income or side income, but you also kind of replaced your need to be in that specific location. And so that's kind of crazy. It just blew my mind. Like I've never thought about that. It's like not only are you the money means so much more because it's 300 bucks, but it's also 300 bucks that's location independent. And so that's really cool. You are also an ordained minister. So what does that mean and how has that benefited you? I mean, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I see you've been doing your homework. Okay. Um so when I was actually I worked for Teach for America for a while in their administrative department and I was teaching teachers how to teach, which is crazy because now I'm the teacher. But I left there to go to get my master's and I decided if I'm gonna get my master's, I want to go somewhere where I'm learning something I really am interested in. And for me, that was the Bible. I wanted to know more about my faith and more about like this book that I read every day. So I went to seminary and I actually studied every book of the Bible there and did like media and communications too. So all of it kind of like all these skills I'm now using. It's like, wow, I didn't even know what I was doing, but the Lord was ordering my steps in such a way. But you know what is so cool? I think I'm still ministering even today. Like when I'm talking to my students and even just the audience that I've built, like I'm telling them about principles and a lot of the principles are like the Bible's money secrets. They're just things that are good to know. Like there's this one story that I'm thinking about right now, but there's this one time where Jesus told Paul, was it Paul or Peter? He told Peter. Jesus told Peter, I want you to go, I want you to throw your rod into the sea and I want you to pick out one fish. And in that fish is going to be some money to pay our taxes. And now I think back and I'm like, well, that's pertinent to us too. Like sometimes we need to go do the work and then God will lead us right to the place that we're supposed to be. And then that's the thing that's going to provide us the money to take care of whatever we need. But those kind of stories and those principles come from the Bible, but I'm still living them out and teaching them now in all kinds of ways. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
cool because I got to pay taxes. And so now I know I got to go out there and do something to get the taxes, not just take the money and pay taxes. So that's actually a blessing in itself. I have a question. I've always related to Joseph and the Bible. And I was looking at a painting that you have in your house, and it had you in a coat of many colors. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like I'm like no one ever asked me these questions. So what was it, 2016, I actually asked my friend's little brother, my best friend's little brother, he's a great artist, to do a painting for me. And on that painting, I told him I want three things. I love real estate, I love to invest, and then I love the Lord. So I want you to create this painting that has all those things. And so he put magazine pieces together and he put it all onto the background of the painting and then he drew me real big in front of it and then he ended up putting paint kind of on the jacket because I had on a gray jacket and I had asked like I wanted it to be more vibrant and he put on all this paint. And then I thought about it. I'm like, wow. Joseph had a coat of many colors, but what was cool about it is his father gave it to him. And then later on, when he became like the ruler over Egypt and was helping feed his family and feed everybody else, they recognized him because he had that same coat on.
Mm.
And it's just amazing to see like the Lord will use you in such a way. But when he did that, it kind of really made me see this is a God thing. Like God is going to do something with all these interests that I have, with all these different parts of my life, but God is in the mix. And even now, like literally I have seen God move in the way that my business has grown, between the students that we serve and how we're impacting their lives, to the way that God has just blessed me. Like this doesn't happen, or I feel like it doesn't happen. I know it does, but there God is at work, and I don't know what he's doing in the atmosphere, but he is bringing up this group of leaders and this group of wealthy people to be able to pour back into the whole community. So I'm super excited to see what's going on.
And so I saw you have
Absolutely.
a pretty big family, a lot of brothers and sisters, which is always shocking to me because you see somebody and you just think they're it. I know Rashauna has a big family, and so I just assume like that's it, like you're just the only child. Are your brothers and sisters, are they kind of doing a lot of things? Are they seeing success in their own right too?
Not at all. So on my mom's side, I am the only child. It's just me. And then I have a lot of cousins. And then on my dad's side, there's 10 of us. And I'm the second oldest, but eight of them live in Nigeria because my dad's from Nigeria, and only two of us are in the US. So I would say of my brothers and sisters, I'm probably no, I'm the one that's probably doing the most in terms of like business and success. But I see some of my younger sisters on my dad's side coming up too. So I'm really excited to see, like I'm second oldest. So I'm really excited to see like how they like develop. And a lot of them are real young. Like my daddy needed to quit. We got like a 2 year old, 1 year old. I'm like, how you gonna have a 36 year old and a 2 year old? That just does not work. Um, but so I like they still young. I'm waiting for them to grow. And then I do have like another younger brother here. He's doing real well. And an older brother. But then on my mom's side, there's a lot of like the cousins. But what's cool about that is we're all 2 years apart. We like stair step, and four of them, my first cousins, all work for me. So like it's been really cool to like see how we can now have a family business and
That's
we can
cool.
bless the whole family.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that, because when you are growing and when you are the only one and things like that understands business, and you're building from scratch, right? Is hard to sometimes reach out, right? Up like right and left to your family to ask their opinion, ask for advice, ask for help, because they don't understand, right?
They
But
don't get
now
it.
yeah, no, they don't get it at all, but you've been able to integrate them. And so was it more so them saying, "Hey, Teri, we see what you're doing, and we want to be a part of it," or you're like, "Hey, you're not gonna ask me for money. You're gonna come over here and work for it."
Mhm.
Honestly, it's a little of both because that is my stance. When people ask me for money, I tell them, okay, well, what are your hours? Tell me the hours that you're about to work, and then I'll pay you for the hours. So that's how people in my family, that's how they know that they can get something. I don't just give out money, you have to work for it. But then on the flip side, when I was first getting started, one of my older cousin, she's 2 years above me, she was going on maternity leave. And so we started it out as just like a, hey, while you're on maternity leave, will you help me with these tasks? But she's so good that by the time maternity leave was over, she was able to like, I was like, I can't let you go. Like, I need your help. And like, what's awesome is she sounds like me. So many times in emails, you might think it's me, but it's her because we sound a lot alike because we grew up together. And then after we started working together, like that cousin been with me for a year, other cousins, as like we started to grow, it was more like I need help. I need somebody to help me with my Instagram. I need somebody to help me with managing YouTube. And cousins were able to just come alongside and say, we got your back. And that's been beautiful, just so beautiful.
So I've seen that you've grown your team outside of just your family members. Can you talk about the people that you brought on and how that's been allowed you to grow your business?
Yeah. So I will say some pros and some cons just for people that are thinking about this too, like who to hire. One, I did a lot of hiring of people that I just knew in my circle. Like I'd been watching them for a while and I knew that they were good at stuff. So like I had one person come on, he was my funnel optimizer, which means like he made the web pages and the emails and the, all the behind the scenes things. I had just been watching him in my networks. He was part of FinCon, and I said, "Hey, can you come help me too?" And it was right on time. I do believe like God has been in all the mix because timing. Some things are just orchestrated, and you're like, it had to be God. But I had been watching him, and then when I asked him, it was at a time where he just so happened to be free. And then another friend, she was like the head of diversity at Airbnb. And I said, "Hey, I'm doing partnerships." And she was able to step in and help for 6 months. So a lot of them were friends that I trusted. But then I will say what I could have done better and what I think people should do better is I think I was a little bit too lazy to put the call out to actually put together a or a job description, put an email out, and then ask for like people to hire. I think that I have some really cool people in my network that I could have hired had I taken the time to reach out, but I didn't because honestly, like I was lazy. So next time, 2021, I'm going to be more particular or more determined to go ahead, put together the resume or the job description, put it out, and then do the interviews because I'll probably get a really cool group of candidates.
That's
So
good.
speaking of your business, so you have the trade and travel program, and you have the advanced program. Do you have any plans on doing or creating any other products or growing your business outside of those two programs, or what do you have in the works?
Well, actually,
Oh,
before
go ahead.
before we move to the next question, sorry, Donald, edit that completely out. um, so I'm glad you brought up the thing about hiring because I don't think we've really explored that at all, really, on this show with all of the guests that come on, and I love that we can speak to so many different aspects of business. And so, what I want to know is your next time around, like you said, in 2021, when you actually put it out and do the hiring, what are some like specific questions that you know that you're going to be asking, and what type of people are you going to be looking for?
First question I'm going to ask is, have you done this before? Because what I've realized is a lot of the people that I've hired have never done the things that I'm asking them to
Mm.
do before. And then I get upset when they don't do it right. And it's like, well, Terry, you didn't hire them because they knew what they were doing. You hired them because they're your family and you felt comfortable with them and you knew they had your back. But like what that also entails is that sometimes our systems are slower because there's a learning curve that they have to get through that takes a couple months versus if I had somebody who had already done this before, they'd be bringing new ideas versus us just implementing the ideas I already had, you know. So I do think I'm going to look for more experience. I'm willing to pay for that too. I know some people are like, well, I only want to get a little part-time temp, hire virtual assistant, $3 person, but then you get $3 work. So I'm gonna be looking for people who if I have to steal you from somewhere, I know I have to pay you enough for you to feel like it's worth it to move over to my team. So that's not a question, but that's something I know I'm gonna do better too. Another question that I'm going to ask them is I'm going to have them do a project first. Like, there's too
Mm.
much, trust me, I know I can do a good job for you, yada, yada. Nope, show it to me. We're going to do a 30-day contract, see how good you are. After 30 days, I can fire you. Like, or we just do that one project and then I can fire you. Because life is too short for us to have these longer term engagements and well dang I hired them now I got to hold on to them. No, you don't. Like you're a great person but you're just not a good fit for this role, right? um, so those are some of the questions. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, because I was kind of selfish there. I asked it for myself
We know.
because Charles talking about we know, please. No, because actually that's where I am. I am bringing on more team members, and I'm so glad you said, the project, the probationary period. Like, again, this is something that we don't talk about much in entrepreneurship, and I feel like a lot of times when we're starting from scratch, we don't even know when to grow, let alone how to grow. And so I think you bring up a good point when you say, oh, I just hired you, to do XYZ, and I don't even know if you're good at it or if you even like it, right?
Right.
But it's a friend of yours, they need money, and you have a job that needs to get done. So I think those are really good points that you shared.
And then
Another
before you
thing,
know it,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, before you know it, you're paying them to learn. You're paying them for 3 months, 6 months to figure out how to do what they should have been doing in month one.
Exactly. And by the time they figure it out, you're so frustrated, you ready to let them go. And that's when they finally get good. And it's like,
Yes.
I can't stand
Wait,
this.
wait a minute. No lie. I was literally about to have a conversation saying, I am going to let you go. And this person asked for a raise.
Oh no. Girl,
We
now
were
see that?
clearly misaligned.
See, now that too has happened to me. I've had some people, and I don't know if it's some people gonna be mad when I say this, but I don't know if it's this generation or what it is. But there's this mindset that like you should pay me $1 million and I don't have to be good at all. Like I don't have to show you or perform. I should just be able to be. Because I had somebody like they didn't come through on what they said, and then at the end they were like, "Oh, so you're gonna pay me still?" And I'm like, no, I didn't get anything that you promised me. Why would I have to pay you still? But they just feel entitled. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will say one other thing that's important when you're hiring is have them create their key performance indicators. They're called KPIs. That has really opened my eyes up to the type of people that I hired. When I create the work list and they're just like kind of worker bees, then we can get things done, but we're not going to grow until they are able to create their own indicators and their own key performance metrics. And when they did that, that's when I started seeing, oh wait, they don't have the bigger picture in mind, or all the things that they put together are maintaining the status quo but not getting us to the next level. So I would also have them do that as part of their first onboarding.
Nice. So, I want to ask you one last question about your business, and then I'll ask you some trading questions because I know people these days, everybody's in the stock market, which is great, and they could use some tips from a boss, a pro who's been doing this for a while. And so my question is, you have your trade and travel program, you have your advanced swing trade and travel. What other products do you have in the works? What do you have planned for your business going forward?
I'm excited. So when I first created my school, it was Invest with Teri, and I had the idea that I would have courses underneath it. So, as you mentioned, there's the VIP trade and travel program, and that teaches people how to invest for income so that they can afford the things that are important to them. And there's like the VIP program, and then they could start with half of that, which is trade and travel. But one of the things that came out of this year was I started doing these like millionaire conversations, and I had like conversations with 12 other millionaires, and that was super fun. Rashauna, I see you nodding because like King Ashley Ann was on there, and just really great people. And that was phenomenal. And I enjoyed that. So I can see that there might be like some type of podcast or webinar series or like something blown out more on YouTube around those millionaire conversations. I also liked having like I have a conference that I'm planning for next year around trading. There's one coming out in January, and we'll probably do a couple others. But my trading friends doing a conference with them. So there's several things in the works. Oh, and there's also like this Bible money secrets that I kind of talked about, but I'm having different people contribute, and we're all doing little messages on different scriptures that talk about money. And we're putting it all together into a course as well, so that people have kind of like a devotional on the Bible's money secret. So there's a lot of cool stuff in the works for 2021.
Nice.
I love it. Sign me up. God and goodies.
Let's go. Yes. Let's
Cool.
go.
So in trading, I'm sure Charles is going to ask you a lot of stock specific questions, but I remember watching a live that you did one day with Ian, and I watched it at least like twice. It was so good, and just hearing the stories that you guys shared, it was so good. And so what I want to talk to you about is, again, so for those who don't know, yes, Teri is a phenomenal expert trader, and you shared a story about the first time you lost like thousands in the market. I think it was like 40,000 or something like that, and
Kind of
it was on.
26,000.
So
Yeah.
and it was on was it don't tell me, was it
Oh,
it's at the tip of my tongue with Pandora?
yeah,
Pandora.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
So tell the listeners about that.
Yes. So for those that don't know me, I went from the $300 a day to making $1,000 in a day to this year making over $100,000 in a day. And my new goals is I'm trying to work towards making $1 million in a day. So like I've worked up to like my success level in investing. But my very like when I first quit my job and had started going like traveling full time, I had my biggest loss the second month that I was full time in Thailand. And the story you're thinking about is like it was one of those days like we had those they had the candle lighting ceremonies and everybody in the whole city. I was in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So everybody in the whole city comes out, you light these balloons and you have like you're supposed to say a wish and you let it go. And it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I remember like all of the balloons flying up. It was like stars in the sky. And I had made this wish of like, oh man, Lord, please bless me to make a ton of money investing in the stock market. And because at this time I wasn't teaching, it was literally just I wanted to trade and travel. That was just me by myself. So I'm like, Lord, I just want to be the best investor ever. So I say this wish, and then I go and check my portfolio. Girl, no. So we walked. So, and I remember everybody else is like, because in Thailand, the U.S. stock market opened at night, so because of the time difference. So everybody else was going to like go have drinks and go out, and I was like, no, y'all, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go work. I gotta go trade. So I found a little place on the street. I didn't even make it home because I wanted to be able to open the market. So I found a little place on the street, a little table that was kind of quiet from everybody else. I look at my phone and I'm down like $20,000 because Pandora had had its earnings and overnight it had lost like $2 and I had 8,000 shares. And then it started going down even more once the market opened and I started freaking out. I started crying. I started calling my mom and I'm like, Mommy, I gotta quit. I don't know what I was thinking. So I was literally gonna give up on trading. And my mom tells me, she's like, but Tracy, that's what she calls me. She's like, Tracy, if you quit, how are you gonna get your money back? And that question just changed everything for me. I was like, well, dang, like you're not supposed to be that smart. You're supposed to be crying with me and really upset and mad like I am. And so I hung up. I still froze. I didn't know what to do. So after everything, I had lost over $26,000. And I remember like the next day talking to another trader and he was like, well, first of all, you should have had your stop in place. And so all these things of like a lot of the mistakes and things that I teach other people is because I've made those mistakes. So like the solutions and the risk management plan that I have is because I know what it feels like to lose and it sucks. Like you start questioning your whole life when you lose, but then there are ways to protect yourself. But yeah, that was one of my scariest days and it's been a learning curve ever since.
Um, when you take a loss, is it as scary now as it was then, or was that just also a learning experience? Because I feel like I have a long-term portfolio. My long-term portfolio, like it goes like this. Like every day is not a green day because I'm not buying and selling in and out. But I know like if I have a down day, it's just a down day. It's not like the stock that I put myself into is still a good stock worth being into. And so I know a lot of people, they're like, I gotta avoid all the down days, all those mistakes. Like, what does your trading look like now, like realistically?
I still am a day and swing trader. So like today, I still traded, made some good money, but then also lost a little bit. I took a loss on a trade because I didn't want to keep it until the end of the week.
Mhm.
Um, I now have like a lot more mental fortitude. And my mentality is I'm still a good trader. If I did the things that I said, like if I did follow to my steps and it went wrong, well, hey, at least I did my part. I did the things that I could do. When I mess up is when I didn't follow my trading plan. And that's when I have to remind myself, you need more discipline. Like let's get back to the basics. Like let's get back. Cause usually that's when the mistakes happen, when I'm, not paying attention or when I'm chasing. Sometimes, a stock goes up and you're like, oh man, I'm not in it. What happened to Tesla? It's going too far. Like you're chasing or you got FOMO. And then those are the things where I have to just check my mentality again. Cause usually it's not so much the trading, it's my mental state.
Yeah. Speaking of FOMO and chasing, what's your opinion on like call outs and people saying buy this stock now and everybody clamoring in to buy it?
So I think that it's really important for people to know how to trade for themselves. Because what I've seen is a lot of people will, like, they'll call out something, but by the time the person gets in to take the trade themselves, the price has moved and it's not a good trade anymore. So they need to learn how to read charts for themselves, how to be able to, trade for themselves so that if they do hear an opinion, they can then test it against their own trading plan.
Mhm.
Because I have seen a lot of people get burned like that. They're just trying to follow the trend instead of actually doing the work.
Right. Yeah, I agree. If you learn how to trade for yourself, then I think the amount of time it takes you to do due diligence shortens. And so people are so afraid of like having to get in there and figure out what these things mean. But after you have done that and you built it up, it's faster. So even if you do happen to see somebody else's call out, like you said, you can run it through your checklist, you can run it through your analysis and see if it makes sense in the first place. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
You know what happens with that too? Like I used to watch CNBC and watch Jim Cramer, but one of the things that I realized is he can never talk about the stocks he's currently invested in.
Hmm.
So a lot of times by the time you hear the information, it's too late.
Too late.
Or you gotta like, like you're hearing it on the back end once everybody's in it. And so now the banks are about to sell the stock. You're getting
Mhm.
in on the tail end because you're getting in near the highs. So
Yeah.
like you have to remember that people are gonna have different agendas when they tell you things. And even if they have the best intentions, timing is everything in the stock market.
Yeah. A lot of new traders, they'll see a stock that's been successful in the past, and that's the stock that they want to buy. They're like, oh, well, it's up 250%. It's going to continue to run. What do you tell
True.
those people?
You're getting in at the highs. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest mistakes that I tell my team about. A lot of times, like we have to shift our mentality as traders. When a stock is going towards the highs, a lot of retail investors will start chasing it because that's when
Hmm.
all the news is good. Like, oh, this stock is doing great. This stock is having a great day. Let's buy it right now. And then all the retail investors start hearing that and then they pile on. But at that time, you have to remember there are banks that were in it when the stock was real low. So when you're starting to get into it and it's high, they're ready to sell. And we need to be following the banks. When stocks are high, we're selling. And when stocks are low, that's going to be when all the news is bad, like Salesforce right now. Oh, they're buying Slack. They don't have enough money. Like all these things that were kind of negative made it drop. But the guys, that's when you get in. Like that's when the good time to buy is. And that's when the banks are buying when the news is bad and the stock is low.
Yep.
Mm.
And I always tell people, Rashauna can probably appreciate this, that the same thing is true with real estate. Like if you want to find a deal, you don't go find the newest, hottest, they're setting record highs and call that an investment. That's not an investment. That's speculation at the time. That's hope. You're like, I hope it goes up and it continues to go up in value. Like, no, if you buy value, you don't got to do nothing. You already made your money. You made your money on the buy. And the same thing is true with stocks.
Yep.
What you got
Hopium
for
is
us,
not a strategy. Hopium is not it.
I know that's right. How do you help your new students get over the fear of trading?
Well, we first start in a simulator. I think that's step one. When they, like, we use a broker called Trade Station. When they open the account, they fund it with like $500, but then they have access to a simulator to trade with paper money. And so that's step one. But then I have my babies that are, and these are babies, they're adults. They're like all ages. I have up to 80 years old in the class. And I have one lady, and she's so cute, but she is 66. And she says she's learning how to trade so that she doesn't have to go to a nursing home. I said, okay, ma'am, well, you do that. And I have like the 18-year-old who's like, I'm not going to college. Let me learn how to trade. But now I forgot what I was gonna say. But the cool thing is that the other part is we teach a big risk management section about how to put in stop losses to protect yourself from losing. How do you calculate the right quantity size? Like you can have the best trade ever, but if you get too little shares, you won't make any money. And if you get too many shares, you might be at too much risk. So how do you calculate that? Just like several things that I teach in terms of how to have a risk management plan are in the course, and that also takes away some of the fear.
Yeah. So I know you went to MIT, which nobody like that's impressive. But what else did you do to help you become a good trader? Like, what did your learning process look like?
I actually took several courses too. One of the courses that I took was $25,000 per class. And I did that as an assistant principal. So I didn't even have that money. I put it on my credit card because I knew how important it was. Like this was to change my life. So I knew that, hey, if this was a lifelong skill set, then it was worth it to learn from the best. So I took some classes that were really expensive. I'll admit it, but hey, they helped me. What I'm doing, I had a day where I did over 300,000 in a day the other day. Like learning from the best makes sense. Then then I also took like some other online classes too. Like I'll even shout out I did options alpha. I didn't do their whole course because I had already had like my strategy too, but it's just always good to keep learning. So I took lots of courses, I practiced and then got into my own rhythm too. But I've been trading now for 10 years. So it kind of takes, every step you keep learning.
So speaking of 10 years, how have your trades evolved from the beginning trades to now the more advanced trades?
So in the beginning, I was totally just stocks only. I would like shun against options. I hated options because they were so risky. And now, like, I trade mostly options. I also love being a seller of options. Like, one of the cool things that I like is buying an option for like a further out expiration and then selling against it leading up to the expiration date, and then you get money consistently like every week and or every month on a consistent basis because you're like selling against your call. So like I've just enjoyed like learning. Like I'm everything is just more advanced and you're learning all these techniques that are really cool. So that's been really fun to me. Just like, okay, you can do this thing with the stock. And then if you're, and like, what's okay. So another thing, I get excited about this stuff, but another thing that's really cool is I love playing defense. When I was first investing, I had this, and I heard one of the ladies on Queen Gambit. Did y'all see that show on Netflix? It was about chess. Well, one of the things she said, she went against this opponent and she said, it felt like I had already lost. She hadn't lost yet, but she was so intimidated when she first sat down to play with him that her whole mindset wasn't right. And there's sometimes where I get into a trade, or I used to get into a trade, and it would immediately kind of go wrong. And I would feel like I had already lost. So I would end up losing like all of my money because I felt lost from the beginning and then paralyzed. And now, as a more advanced trader, I'm realizing that, like, as soon as that happens, I can take several other actions. Like, I have a whole toolkit. I can play defense. Like, okay, this is going down. Well, let me sell something else against it. Or, oh, this is going down. Well, how about I do this longer term spread? Or do, like, I have just more tools at my disposal. And also the mindset to know, like, keep going. Like, yes, it's going red. You can either get out of it now or keep going. So that's been a big change.
As you're developing these tools, do you test them out in a practice account first, or do you just go live?
I wish I could tell you I practice them in a practice account. I need to practice them in a practice account, but I'm stupid. Yeah, I traded with my
Go
own
in.
money and then be mad at myself like you knew you shouldn't have done that. So I would encourage everybody else. You know how they say, do what I say, not what I do. I would encourage them to practice in a trade in a sim account. oftentimes I'll practice it with my real money and then lose. And so I don't do that.
But I think there's definitely so many lessons in, what you just shared. And Tony Robbins talks about that, like being in a peak performance state and deciding before you even get started, like it doesn't matter what the outcome is, like I'm going to win. And so, like you said, just the utilizing and recalling those strategies and those techniques and knowing that everything that you need you already have, you just have to bring it out of you instead of feeling defeat, right? So I think that was really good that you shared that.
Yeah. I remember, so I used to play basketball in high school, and it'd be like if you're caught flat-footed, you know how like when you're playing defense, you're supposed to be on your tippy toes and like ready to move. But if you're like on flat feet, they can just pass right by you. And it's one of those things of like I'm learning how to be on my toes so that I can like move in any way. And before I felt like I was kind of flat-footed. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't ready. So
I like it. I like it. So a lot of people, they have certain indicators that they like. Which ones do you use and which ones do you prefer and why?
I actually don't use indicators. So
Really?
I'm using formations and candlesticks. Like I hear a lot of people talk about RSI and the 50-day moving average, and I think they're all good, but in my trading plan, we're actually using formations, and those formations are telling us where to buy and where to sell.
Hmm. Ian says the same thing. Ian's like, I don't use indicators, man.
Yep. That's my friend. I've been telling him we got to get together and do a charting, like a charting throwdown.
Yeah. I think maybe people use indicators because they're trying to hopefully let the indicator tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, well, if I just find the right indicator, that'll predict the future for me instead of just learning what you're learning. I think that's really cool. In your course, do you go over like the formations and all of that?
I do. So, like, we start out with the intro to stocks and teach them how to get, like, how the market works. Then we go into risk management. But then that third piece is technical analysis. So, how to read charts. And that helps them pick the right pricing because you can have a wonderful stock, but get in at the wrong time and lose money. So, those candles will tell you when to get in, when to get out. And Rashawn, I hope you're still in the course and learning. But I see you shaking your
Well,
head.
because I'm following and I totally am with you. Yes. Yep. The candlesticks and the when they like this, when they like that.
Yeah, just like that, girl. Yep.
The green and the red, and when the line is at the bottom, and then you look in the middle, and then you. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're right. But right after that, then they go into my trading plan, and I have a 7-step strategy of like the 7 steps I take to take the trade. And then after that, people keep learning and they go into VIP, and that's when we do the gaps, Globex options, all that stuff. But it's really cool.
Cool.
How many students have gone through your course?
We are now over 4,200. My big goal this year was to get to 5,000, and I feel like we're on track. But a big goal that we had this year was we were teaching 1,000 students to make $1,000 in a day, because that means we have $1 million a day being generated in our communities. And 80% of my students are people of color. So that means like $1 million being generated a day in our community. Like that's changing lives. And we're almost there. We are past 700 and $1,000 in a day club, and working towards the 1,000 by the end of the year too. So yeah,
It's
it's
I
cool
love it.
to see the people who have gone through your course and what they look like on the other side. Like they're just more confident. Like people that I've seen, like Annette, she's like a beast. She's just like
yeah.
posting all the successful trades she's been having. So I'm definitely proud of her because I've known her for a while. I think even before she went through your course, but that's really
Yeah,
cool.
she introduced me to you. I remember like you were my first like podcast, and it was because Annette had wrote an article and introduced me to you, and that's how we had our first discussion in 2019.
Yeah.
Because of her. But yeah, like she is killing the game now. I remember she sent me a message. She had made over 20,000 in a day, but then she had made like her whole salary in a day. And that's like only one success story. Other people, like I got another email recently. She was like, "Hey Teri, I don't really post a lot, but I just wanted to let you know I've already made $150,000 in your class." And I'm like, what? People renovating houses with their trading. Others have paid off their student loans. Others have paid off their car. Just whatever is important to them, but learning how to actively invest for that. So it's, yeah,
I
they've
feel
enjoyed
like
it.
the money that you make is one thing, but it's also like seeing that your skill set it allows somebody else to make a difference in their life. That it means a lot. So that's
That's
cool.
the piece. Yes. There's one girl who is going through chemo right now, and like we're all supporting and behind her, but she told me, you know what? It's not even, she made the $1,000 in the day club. So she was excited about that. But she said, Terry, it's not even just about the money. It's about learning this skill set has motivated me even during the chemo. She's like, it keeps me motivated. It keeps me excited because I'm still learning. So it's that piece. You learn a lot about yourself and your life when you're trading. And that's the piece that's important.
Yeah. What's your best advice that you would give to somebody who's looking to become a successful trader?
Hmm. I think I tell them to learn to master their mindset, because the thing that's going to make or break you as a successful trader is really your discipline. How disciplined are you to be able to see that stock racing but not get in it because you know that you're about to, it's going to hit a seller's level? Or how disciplined are you to know that you have these three things on the table but not fall apart when you see red in your account? So discipline, patience, persistence, that ability to like get back up again when you feel like you failed, like those things are things that you have to be good at to be a good trader.
Yeah.
So I would say that, and then we can teach you all the other parts, but get your mind right.
What's the max amount of positions that you'll hold at one time?
I usually like to do about 3 to 5. When it gets more than that, I'm not able to pay attention to them like I want to.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. If you had to do it all over again, starting from the beginning, what would you do different, if anything?
If I had to do it all over again, what would I do differently? Um, Honestly, this journey has been absolutely amazing. It's really been amazing. I think that maybe hiring staff earlier would be a thing because the school has grown. So actually let me answer that question in two different ways. Let's do the business and then like my personal trading. So for the business, what I would do different, I actually think all of that I would still do the same. Like maybe hiring staff a little earlier, but it has grown in such a magnificent way that like I'd keep that going. The pricing, I'm glad that I priced it the way that I did because it's very valuable. I'm glad that I built the community the way that I did because they're so supportive and they encourage each other. So like I'm glad that I have a story brand and we all can go behind messages. I'm glad that I was true to myself and I talk about Jesus and God and people know that that's who I am. I didn't kind of like leave that to the side. So those things I think are good. In my trading, I think what I would do in my trading is realize that I don't have to trade every day. One of the things that I've learned as I become more and more of a business owner is that sometimes it's hard to juggle all the balls at the same time. So sometimes it's hard to, like I had a season when I was doing 12-hour days because I was waking up at 7 a.m. or 7:30 to trade. And then I would be on coaching calls with students at 7:30 at night and I wasn't sleeping and they would have to try to get up. And when you're trading not in your full capacity, then it just doesn't work. You're not good. So I think what I would tell myself there is it's okay to have seasons. It's okay to have times where you're trading a lot and then times where you're not trading as much because it's a skill set that's not going to go anywhere. So that's probably something that I would tell myself. But
How much does what the market is doing in that moment impact whether you decide to trade or not? Because sometimes it's just not in favor of what maybe your trading style is. So how much does what the market is giving you determine if you're going to get in or just stay out on the sidelines?
well, I very much am looking at the chart versus the news. So, news might come out, but that just helps it move faster to my levels on a chart. Because I am a bit more of a day and swing trader and I just love it, I'm usually still in it every day anyway, but that doesn't mean I have to take a trade. So I'm going to probably be watching and know what's going on, but that day I still may not buy or sell anything. So I'm not sure if I'm really answering your question, but I'm going to be in it probably every day because I love it. That's just part of me. Yeah.
I think you did. What was your most successful trade?
Most successful trade. Ooh, okay. So honestly, let me tell you, my most successful stock this year has been Boeing. It was my first six-figure trade earlier this year. So I was in it right like March 24th, the lowest day, and then it jumped up. And like that was my biggest day in my real account until then. And then recently I had another six-figure day and it was like 300,000 in a day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm working to make like $1 million in a day. And I have a feeling it just might be Boeing.
Nice.
But then I will tell you there was one that I had done in multiple days, and it was American Airlines. And that one was like $600,000 in 2 days. It was like a swing trade. But yeah.
Hey.
Thought I was killing it. That's crazy. You're I mean, I've been in Boeing Airlines. That's kind of what I've been in. What does making $1 million in a day look like? What's your strategy for that? Because I would like to aim for that as well.
But you gotta take the class, Charles. That's when you're gonna learn how to make $1 million in a day. But I will tell you, my VIPs, they really are going for a $10,000 in a day club. They're like, oh, that $1,000 in a day club, we good. We about to go for this $10,000 in a day club.
So she's not gonna give us an answer, guys.
Nope.
The answer is click the link in the bio.
That part.
Yes.
So before I head to the wrap question, you did say that you wanted to discuss the meme about $1,000 courses.
I have a whole thing of notes on this.
Wow.
Whoa.
We're ready when you are.
Dun.
Okay, so let me just give.
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm like, let me read the meme because Teri was very sure to let us know that's what she wanted to discuss today. So the meme says, if you're truly dedicated to uplifting our people, then why is your course $1,000?
Yes. And okay, so here I have like so many responses to that. But my first response is this. Okay, so this post talking about if you're for the culture, why is your course $1,000? It implies that for the culture is broke, that our culture is broke, and we can't afford $1,000. Like we don't have $1,000. So I think the premise of the post already is wrong. We've got to stop believing that Black people don't have money. We do. Like I'm literally sitting on this call with successful Black people, and we've got to stop thinking that for the culture means broke. So that's one. Two, no. Going through my list here. Another thing is for the people who like wrote onto that post, like, yeah, that's what I've been thinking and this and that. So I'm not going to talk specifically about them, but I am going to talk about the taker mentality. I feel like there are quite a few people in our culture that are takers. They're the type that will have their own money, but then still ask you to spend yours, and because they don't want to use theirs. Or I think about Rashauna with you and real estate. I've been in this position before too. They'll ask you to sell their house. Now you're putting up signs, you doing all this work, and then they want a piece of the commission. Well, can we do 2% commission? Can we do 1% commission? Because again, they don't want to give you the money, but they don't appreciate the work that you've done. So we've got to start like the type of people that I want to work with and that I think like I want us to become. I want to work with people that understand that in order to learn something, you're going to have to pay for the time of the people that you want to learn from. And their time is valuable. Those are the people that I want to work for or do things with. I want to work with people that understand that it's important. Like this knowledge is a skill set that you're going to have for life. It's worth the return. Even if I just allowed you to not have to work overtime and be able to spend more time with your family, that is worth that value right there for quality time is worth the amount that you're paying for this course. So like, I don't know, like I just really dislike when people feel, or when people say that you shouldn't charge a certain amount, because most of the time that means that they're trying to get you to be their, I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but the only people that work for free are slaves.
Yeah.
And I will never be someone's slave.
Mm.
Like that, just like, we need to stop trying to get people to do slave labor for us. Pay them what they're worth. Like, pay them for their value. And that's with anything. Like, our culture has got to get out of that mindset that, oh, you have a store, but you're going to give me a discount. Or, oh, you have this business, but I'm going to ask. No, pay them what they're worth. Pay them more than what they're worth, so that we can all grow together. Okay.
Interestingly enough,
Mic
that
drop.
the take that we're supposed to get something for free or at a discount from our own, but then we go give full value to Louis Vuitton and Gucci is probably the reason why we are where we are, because they give Teri money, Teri creates jobs for her family. They give me money, I create jobs for my family. They give Rashauna money, Rashauna creates jobs for her family and people who look like her. And so by paying full value to your own people, you actually get a return back for your own people. But if you keep shortchanging your own, we're gonna keep getting more of what we've been getting. So 100% I agree with that. I'm buying the course tonight.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna buy it through my affiliate link either. I'm gonna buy it full price. So
That's
I got you.
right. Thank you, Charles. Do that. Because the thing is, too, like you said, people will go to college and they'll pay that white professor, $40,000 a year, because they understand that it costs to pay for knowledge. But then you don't want to pay $1,000 for a course? Like, what? Like, it just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
Knowledge costs, and
facts.
it costs to learn from the best. So I'll get off my thing, but still, people need to know that knowledge is not free.
I think it's cool that you
Absolutely.
challenged it and you didn't just be like, oh, they said I'm not for the culture, so I gotta drop my prices. Because we need people to also take a stand and say, I'm not dropping my prices. The culture can come to me. So
Yeah, and there's levels to this, right? Like, even if you're buying shoes, there's Payless,
Mm-hmm.
Jordans, Red Bottoms, Fashion Week. So you get in where you fit in. If you feel like you want Payless, you go to Payless. But if you want a little higher quality, you go to the little higher quality. And then what I'm also learning is you got to learn who you're for. I'm not for everybody, but I do know a lot of the people that are in my course, they have a little bit of money and they're trying to figure out how to get that money to work for them. So I may not be for the person that's broke. But
yeah.
and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but one of the responses on that post was like, yeah, they know we broke out here. How come they try? Well, that's not the person that I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to the one
Absolutely.
who's actually has a little bit of money and trying to figure out, okay, I don't want to put it in my savings account. What do I do, Teri? That's the person that I need to talk to.
Honestly, I don't read the comments. I just be posting stuff and going. So we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for your time once again. I think we were able to have a different conversation than we've had the prior two times and on Instagram Live, but we're still gonna ask you the same rap questions. And the first one is, who is somebody that you look up to and why?
I look up to my mom because she's just so giving. Like, she put together Thanksgiving for our family and she just like gave and gave and gave. And I would say everybody in my family can attribute one experience or memory to her and the work she's done for us. So I definitely look up to her.
Nice.
Nice. What's your favorite business or stock trading book?
In terms of books, one book that I like a lot is The Story Brand. And like, I keep like going in and out of it, but it just really talks about how you should build your brand based on stories.
Mm. Yeah, Danish Chanel is really big on telling stories.
I
Um,
like stories.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Um, let's
What
see.
does
What's this?
wealth mean to you?
I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah, what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth means being able to take advantage of the moment. Like, for me, because I have money, I'm able to take time away to actually really enjoy myself and be in the moment.
Yeah, 100%. That's so true. Um, where's the next place you're gonna go in terms of traveling as soon as you're able to do so? Like the very
Man,
first place.
first place would probably be Greece. I would say Bali, but I just have been dreaming of being in a sea of white buildings with beautiful blue water around me. Like that's my dream at night. So probably Greece, and then I'll go to Bali.
Nice, nice. And my last question for you is what sets apart successful traders from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Persistence. Like when you see red in your account, it's gonna hurt. Like your stomach's gonna hurt and your mind is gonna hurt. You're gonna be mad at everybody in your household because they don't understand. But that next day when you decide, okay, I'm gonna try again, that makes somebody successful when they're able to come back and do it again.
Nice. Awesome. So thank you again for another amazing episode. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? And where can they support what you have going on?
On all platforms, Trade and Travel. So YouTube, Trade and Travel, Instagram, and Facebook Trade and Travel pages. And then I have a personal Instagram, which actually I changed it. It's not I'm an investor anymore.
Oh, right,
It's
right,
just
right.
Teri Ijeoma. So you can find me at my name on Instagram as well.
Love
Take us
it.
out, Raphael. Take us out, Rashauna. I was about to say, take us out, Raphael.
Wrong podcast.
Take us out, Rashauna.
This is the Oglesby and Scott show signing off.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Terry. Thank you for
Thank you,
staying up.
guys.
I know it's 10 o'clock for you too. Charles, the only one. It's
Yeah,
only 8 o'clock over there.
Right. Yep.
no
We still got to eat
problem.
dinner.
I hope that it was good. That y'all enjoyed. Did I do all right?
Yes, this was great. And I DM'd you back about the building.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. So let me know if you have another one, because I think
Okay.
that's like the next part of my tax plan is to buy some apartment buildings. So
Still in Bronzeville, or you're just open? Like, we should talk, like, what you want to do, because, we
okay.
can do, like, some bigger stuff, 8, 10, 12 for the same price,
Oh,
right?
nice.
Or
Yeah.
less,
Okay.
because Bronzeville,
Do
yeah.
you have to buy it in the same year to count it as depreciation against your income?
Yeah, you do. So
Ooh.
like if I had bought it this year, then it would work next year. It's gonna go towards next year.
Ah, okay.
What a year's not
All
over.
right. That's true.
I
Very true.
literally have people like now, like, I need to buy something before the end of the year. So
Yeah.
I get a lot of folks contacting me from other states, and we're going after some big stuff. So, but yeah, let's talk.
I'm
Like-
ready. Yeah, let's talk.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Cool.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Good night.
It was so good seeing you.
Same here. And then thanks, Charles. You've been sending a lot of people through. So thank you very much. If
My
you want to
son
delete
thanks
them,
you.
I've been seeing them affiliate
No.
checks. I'm
My
like,
son, it goes right to him. I just put it right in his investment account. So it's mutual.
nice. Awesome.
Bye.
All right. Talk to y'all later.